I love taking a great shore excursion in the ports of call that my cruise ships visit, but there are some mistakes and red flags to avoid on any shore excursion out there. Every port has a variety of tours and activities, and you can book it through Royal Caribbean or on your own. As a frequent cruiser, I've gone on all sorts of shore excursions around the world, including Alaska, the Caribbean, and Europe, and most of them have been absolutely fantastic, but there are a few duds out there, so it's a really good idea to check in on what the tour includes and also be aware of some of the red flags that I look for in any shore excursion before booking. Number one, long transit times for a short visit. Now, a shore excursion that involves many hours in transit to leave you with a very short amount of time at the actual destination might be worth rethinking. It is not uncommon to find a shore excursion that takes you to a bucket list worthy spot, like a major city, exploring Mayan ruins, or just viewing natural wonders. The problem with these tours is you'll oftentimes spend more time on a bus traveling to and from that site rather than the actual place. A couple examples of this include Chichen Itza, a visit to Paris, or even a transfer to Walt Disney World. Sometimes cruise ships dock in ports significantly far from these places. And while it is possible to go and see these areas, it involves a very long bus ride back and forth. Now, if this is your only opportunity to ever visit, then the marathon bus ride might be worth it. Otherwise, save it for a land visit. Number two, no refunds if your cruise ship can't dock. Before you book any shore excursion, you want to read the rules on canceling. In my opinion, any tour operator should refund all of your money, including the deposit, if your ship is unable to dock. Whether it's because of poor weather that day or an itinerary change, there's a chance cruise ships don't get to the port they're supposed to go to, and the refund policy should cover that scenario. Now, most shore excursions don't include a refund if the weather is poor, like if it's rainy or cloudy or whatnot. But if the ship is physically unable to make it to the tour because your cruise ship isn't in port, then they should refund all of your money. If you book a tour with Royal Caribbean, this is standard practice. Don't worry about this. But if you're booking a third-party shore excursion, you want to make sure that they offer that because, quite frankly, it's silly and unfair to penalize you if you're physically unable to actually get there because your cruise ship is unable to make it into port. Number three, panoramic sightseeing tours. It might sound like a great tour, but panoramic sightseeing tours may leave you disappointed because of the lack of time actually at the places that you'll see behind a window. Now, bus tours are great if you like a more casual view, or perhaps you have mobility issues. Moreover, never underestimate how wonderful air conditioning can really be in the summer months. However, if your goal is to walk around and explore historical sites or beautiful natural wonders, I'd recommend avoiding a tour that advertises how much you can see from the bus that you'll be on. When I've done these sorts of tours, I usually end up frustrated that I didn't have enough time to actually go to the places that we saw. So again, understand what your goal is, I guess, with any tour out there. But in general, I avoid the panoramic bus tours. Something else I'll avoid is when I get off the cruise ship in a port and there's some guy, or many people for that matter, with a flimsy sign offering to book a tour on the spot. When you walk out of the port area, there's usually a group of taxi drivers who want you to pay them to take you on a tour of the place you're visiting. Now, while I doubt there are true safety concerns, like I don't think they're going to maim or kill you or rob you, I would not recommend booking a tour with them because of how open-ended these options can be. Without knowing anything about the tour operator ahead of time, or their knowledge of the area, or even total cost, I think there are too many variables and it's just ripe for disappointment. If you want to have a driver for the day or a private tour of the port you're visiting, my recommendation is do some research ahead of time and book that in advance. That way, you can do your research online and read reviews and get recommendations for whom to work with. Be leery of these tours in general. In a lot of cases, they're trying to intercept people who want to just take a taxi and instead end up with a much costlier type of tour around the island. There's nothing wrong necessarily with these ideas, but in my opinion, any excursion you do should be researched ahead of time so you can vet not only the operator, cost, and also understand exactly what you're getting for it. The next red flag on my list are museum tours. Now, museums are a great idea for an activity, but you don't need to book an organized tour. It's easy enough to get to most museums by taking a cab, and then once in the museum, exploring on your own. Not only will a museum shore excursion cost you more, but you'll be moving at the pace of the group and without the option to spend more time at the exhibits that interest you. Now, if you're worried about being able to understand the tour in your native language, there could be audio tours available from the museum, or you can even utilize Google Translate app on your phone to be able to instantly translate signs. Museum tours are just simply overpaying for something you'll probably do a lot cheaper on your own and move at your own pace. Speaking of things you can easily do on your own, beach break excursions. This is really common in the Caribbean, but you don't need an organized tour to go to the beach. Sometimes a shore excursion includes a visit to the beach in addition to the primary activity, but if you just want to spend the day at the beach, I would question the value of an organized tour that just goes simply to the beach. One issue with the beach shore excursion are crowds. If your tour is going to go to this beach, other shore excursions probably are too, and that is the recipe for an oversold, crowded beach day. In a lot of cases, cruise lines work with tour operators and they'll end up like the same beach. And you get there and there's a sea of people and there's like 3 chairs left. One of them is broken and there's no shade. That happens to me more often than I care to admit to. Now, sometimes crowded beaches are unavoidable, but in the Caribbean, where beautiful beaches are a dime a dozen, I just wouldn't do that. The other issue with a beach break excursion is it's probably cheaper to book it on your own. Do your research and look up taxi rates along with the fees for accessing the beach, resort, or park. If you want to do a beach day, one of my favorite things to do is to go to a website like resortforaday.com or resortpass.com and get access to a beach resort that you can go to and enjoy the facilities. In addition to the beach, there's maybe a pool, there might be restaurants, changing rooms, bathrooms. I think it's the best money you can spend on a beach day type of excursion. But if you're simply looking to get a slab of sand and enjoy your day there are tons of beaches, especially in the Caribbean, to do so. So I really don't think you need a beach tour for that. Now, if all these tips make sense to you, but you're not sure where to start or how to really vet the proper tour excursion, a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, you should start with what Royal Caribbean has to offer. I don't think there's any problem booking a shore excursion with Royal Caribbean. You just want to make sure what they offer is not one of these red flag items that's out there, but at least it's a good starting point. And if nothing else, Royal Caribbean's excursions might give you a jumping off point for understanding what the most popular things are to do at that particular port of call. Then number two, what you could do is, quite frankly, go to Google and start searching for options. My best idea is to put in the port you're visiting plus the word shore excursion or shore activities, right? So if you're going to Cozumel, type Cozumel shore excursions. You might even refine that with another phrase to refine the result, like Cozumel shore excursion for families, Cozumel shore excursion young children, something like that, so you can really get a better idea of what might be good there. Inevitably, you're going to find reviews, whether it's on Reddit or TripAdvisor, or even on our RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com message boards, which, by the way, have an entire shore excursion forum just for that. And that way you can kind of get an idea of what people are saying and what they recommend. And what you're really looking for are people to say, yes, I've done this tour, I've worked with this tour operator, and they are really good. Ideally, you'll find a couple of different positive reviews, nothing glaringly negative, and go from there. You'll want to read the refund policy as well as the payment policy, and of course compare prices and timings. And if you're doing something on your own, definitely check those timings. It's very important that you can make it back to your cruise ship well before the all aboard time. Personally, I would not book any shore excursion that gets me back any closer than 2 hours before the all aboard time. And my last bit of advice for finding a good tour for you and your family is to be realistic about your expectations. I know when you're sitting there at home, it sounds amazing to do that ATV tour or climb that mountain or go swimming in that amazing vista. The problem is, if you guys aren't athletic, if you're not into that kind of activities or you've never done something like that, maybe it's not the right one for you. That isn't to say you shouldn't try things in life. That's a great opportunity, and shore excursions are really fun. I did my very first ATV tour on a Royal Caribbean shore excursion and absolutely loved it. But other times you might just bite off more than you can chew. So be realistic, especially with people involved in your group, like kids, maybe your parents, and try to go from there. Hopefully you now know what to look out for and what to look for when you're booking any cruise ship shore excursion. Let me know in the comments below, what are the top things you look out for before you book any tour, and are there any good recommendations for what to definitely keep in mind when booking any shore excursion? While you're down below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way YouTube lets you know we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.